Hello everyone! In this video we're going to go over the KutaSoftware Infinite PreAlgebra free worksheet one-step equation word problems. So similar to one-step equations with integers, decimals, and fractions, except we're not sure what kind of numbers we're going to be dealing with. But we're going to do one-step equations. So let's dive right on into number one. In number one, it says Lisa is cooking muffins. The recipe calls for 7 cups of sugar. She has already put in 2 cups. How many more cups does she need? So that's our question. How many more cups does Lisa need? And as I read, notice that I've underlined important key facts. If we know that the recipe calls for a total of 7 cups of sugar, our total is 7. So 7 is going to equal, well, how much she's already put in plus how much more she needs to put in. So if she's already put in 2 cups of sugar, how many more cups does she need? That's what we're trying to solve for. So I'm going to call that variable C. So C is just a placeholder. It's just there to help us figure out our problem. So if she needs a total of 7 cups of sugar and she's already put in 2, how do we solve for C? Well, we're just going to do a one-step equation. Subtract 2 from both sides. Look, my 2's will cancel out on my right-hand side. 7 minus 2 is going to equal 0 plus C, because 2 minus 2 is 0. 0 plus C, well, that's just C. So in total, she is going to need to put in 5 more cups of sugar to reach that total of 7. 5 plus 2 equals 7. But let's move on to number 2. It says, at a restaurant, Mike and his 3 friends decided to divide the bill evenly. So we have Mike and his 3 friends. How many people is that total? That's 4 people because we have Mike plus his 3 friends. They decided to divide the bill evenly. So if each person paid $13, what's the total of the bill? So we're trying to figure out the total of the bill, and we know that they divided it evenly. So we know that whatever the total of the bill is, I'll call that variable T. We know that the total divided by the number of people, if each person paid $13, well then if we take the total of the bill and divide it by 4, that's going to equal our $13. The total of the bill divided by the number of people is going to equal our $13. Or we could take the total of the bill divided by $13 and that should equal 4. Either way to write this is perfectly acceptable. But one-step equation, what are we going to do? In order to isolate our variable T, we're going to multiply both sides by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 1 times T is T. So our total bill is going to cost 13 times 4, which, if you need a little bit of help, write it on the side doing some multiplication. 3 times 4 is 12. Write the 2, carry the 1. 1 times 4 plus 1 is 5. So 13 times 4 is going to be $52. So the bill total was $52. In number 3, it says, how many packages of diapers can you buy with $40? So we have a total of $40, and each package, or one package, costs $8. So it's asking how many packages of diapers can we buy with $40 if one package costs $8. Well, if it's $8 per package, there's a couple different ways we can write this, like all of these problems. 8 times the number of packages we buy, P, is going to equal 40. $8 times P is going to equal $40. The amount per package times the number of packages is going to equal our total bill. I could have also wrote this problem as, if we spend $40 in total, and I divide that by the number of packages I buy, that should give me the price per package. So you can see here I have 2 separate equations. I'll go ahead and draw a line between there, and for fun, we'll solve both of them to show you that either way doesn't really matter. In order to isolate P in this equation, I need to divide by 8. So dividing both sides by 8, I'm going to get that P is equal to 40 divided by 8. That's 5. So 5 packages. And over here, what am I going to have to do? See, over here, it's not going to quite be a one-step equation because I have 40 divided by p equals 8. I need to get this p out of my denominator. So I'll have to multiply by p in order to get it out of my denominator. But then look, 40 equals 8 times p. 8 times p equals 40. That's exactly what I started with. So because this is a one-step equation and this is a one-step equation worksheet, that original equation that we solved for is probably the best route to take. Let's move on to number 4. For number 4, it says last Friday, Trevon had $29. Over the weekend, he received some money for cleaning the attic. He now has $41. How much money did he receive? All right, let's go ahead and highlight some stuff. We've got $29 that he started with, and he now has $41. How much money did he get to go from $29 to $41? $29 plus what amount? I'll write this as D equals $41. 29 plus D equals $41. This D is going to represent the amount of money that he received in order to get to that 41. So what we're going to do is subtract $29 from both sides, and that's so that we can isolate that D. So D is going to be equal to 41 minus 29, which, if you need to use the US algorithm to solve this, 1, we can't take 9 away from 1, so we're going to borrow from our 4. This now becomes 11. 11 minus 9 is 2. 3 minus 2 is 1. So Trevon received a total of $12 in order to go from 29, which he started with last Friday, to the amount that he has now, $41. Let's move on to number 5. Number 5 says, last week, Julia ran 30 miles more than Pranav. Julia ran 47 miles. How many miles did Pranav run? So if she ran 30 more miles, that means that R, the amount that Pranav ran, plus if Julia ran 30 more miles, R plus 30 is going to equal the total that Julia ran, 47. So however much Pranav ran, if you add 30 to that, because Julia ran 30 more miles, you're going to get the total amount. And this is going to help us solve for R. So we'll isolate R by subtracting 30 from both sides to give us that R is equal to 47 minus 30, which is 17. So a total of 17 miles. Let's move on to number 6. Number 6 asks us, how many boxes of envelopes can you buy with $12 if one box costs $3? So how many boxes of envelopes can we buy? Well, if we know that one box costs $3, $3 times the number of boxes, B, is going to equal a total of $12. If one box costs $3, we multiply that by the number of boxes. That's going to give us our total amount. So what are we going to do in order to isolate the B? Well, if it's multiplied by $3, we divide by $3. $12 divided by $3, that means that B is going to equal 4. So that means with $3 per box, with a total of $12, we'll be able to buy 4 boxes of envelopes. Let's move on to number 7. Number 7 states that a man and her friend found some money buried in a field. They split the money evenly, each getting $24.28. So if each of them got $24.28 and they split the money evenly, how much money did they find in total? That means that the total amount of money, I'll write that as M, divided by 2, because they split it evenly and there's 2 of them. It's her and her best friend. So the total amount of money divided by 2 is going to equal that $24.28, the amount that each of them got. So what we're going to do in order to solve is we're going to multiply both sides by 2. And when we multiply by 2, we isolate the amount of money that they found in total, M. That's going to equal $24.28 times 2. Now, this might be a little bit easier to visualize vertically. So we're going to write 24, 28, and we're going to multiply that by 2. 8 times 2 is 16, carry the 1, 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, 4 times 2 is 8, and then 2 times 2 is 4. And remember, this has a total of 2 decimal places, so I need to make sure I move 2 decimal places for my answer as well. So we get a total of $48.56 that they found buried in the field. Let's move on to the last problem on this page, number 8. Number 8 says that Ginny wants to buy an MP3 player that costs $30.98. How much change does she receive if she gives the cashier $40? So if the total price of the MP3 player is $30.98, that means that that cost is going to equal her $40 minus the change she receives, R. $40 minus the change she receives is going to be what the total price of that item was. Another way we could write this is that if we know that the MP3 player costs $30.98, if we add the amount of change she receives to that, that's going to equal her total amount, 40. So you can see there's 2 separate ways that we can think of this problem. And in order to go from this equation to this equation, or vice versa, all you have to do is change the side that R is on by either adding R to both sides in the first equation or subtracting R from both sides in the second equation. So these two are saying the same thing. R is just on the left hand in one versus the right in the other. We want to use a one-step equation. What's going to get us there? If we subtract 40, R is going to be negative on the side, which we don't want. So let's work with our equation where R is positive. So we're going to subtract the $30.98 from both sides. That will leave us with R equaling $40 minus $30.98. Well, in my head, what I want to get to is the nearest dollar. So if I add 2 cents, that's going to get me to $31. So 40 minus 31 is going to be 9. So $9.02 was the change that Jenny received from the cashier. Let's go ahead and move on to our next page. So last Friday, Adam had $22.33. Over the weekend, he received some money for cleaning the attic. He now has $32. How much money did he receive? This is a very familiar problem. We had the same back up, and I believe it was number 4. So we're going to apply the same steps as we did in number 4. So if Adam starts with $22.33, whatever amount of money we add to that, let's call this variable M, that's going to equal how much he has now, the $32. So M is the amount of money he received. If we add that to his starting amount, we're going to get the total amount he has now. So subtracting $22.33 from both sides, we're going to get that M equals, again, doing this mentally, if we're at 33 cents, in order to get to $1 from here, since we're subtracting $22.33 from 32, I'm going to get to that closer dollar, which I'm going to have to add 67 cents. Adding 67 cents will bring me to $23. So then 32 minus 23 is going to be 9. So $9.67 is how much Adam received. Let's move on to number 10. In number 10, after paying $5.12 for a salad, Norachai has $27.10. How much money did he have before buying the salad? So the amount of money that he had before buying the salad, I'll call this variable X. Once that salad money was removed from that total amount, we know that Norachai now has $27.10. So X, our total starting amount, minus the cost of the salad is going to equal how much we have now. So what are we going to do? In order to isolate our variable X, we're going to add the $5.12 to both sides. So we'll get x, our variable, isolated on our left-hand side, and that's going to equal a total of 0 plus 2 is 2, 1 plus 1 is 2, keep my decimal lined up since I'm adding, 7 plus 5 is 12, carry my 1, 1 plus 2 is 3. So $32.22 was the total amount of money that Norachai started with. And again, looking at the way I'm doing addition, I'm just using the US standard algorithm where we keep everything lined up vertically in the same place. So I keep my ones place in line, my tenths place, my hundredths place, my tens place. I keep everything in line so that I can add and carry over. Or if this was subtraction, I would subtract and borrow. Let's move on to number 11. So far on this worksheet, we've worked with integers and we've worked with decimals. Now we're going to work with fractions. For number 11, it says that a recipe for cookies calls for 3 1/4 cups or 3 1/4 cups of sugar. Amy has already put in 3 1/9 cups. How many more cups does she need to put in? So, underlining our important information, we need a total of 3 1/4 cups, and 3 1/9 cups has already been added. How many more cups do we need to put in? If there's already 3 1/9 cups of sugar that Amy's already added, we need to see how much more sugar, S, to add to get to that total of 3 1/4 cups, the total amount that the recipe calls for. So in order to solve for our variable S, we're going to subtract 3 1/9 from both sides. 3 1/9 minus 3 1/9 is 0. 0 plus S is just S. Now, if you remember from our previous worksheet where we did one-step equations with fractions, we can break these mixed numbers up. 3 1/4 we'll write as 3 plus 1/4, and because we're subtracting 3 1/9, that's subtracting 3 and subtracting 1/9. So we have to keep the same signs with those mixed numbers. If they're positive, both the whole number and fraction part of the mixed number is positive. If we're subtracting or it's negative, both the whole number and the fraction are subtracted. Now with this, it's a little bit easier to simplify down because my whole number 3 minus my other whole number 3 is going to be 0. So all I have is 1/4 minus 1/9. And in order to do this, I need to write everything in terms of a common denominator. So 4 doesn't go into 9, so we're going to have to find some other number that they both evenly go into. What are 4 and 9 both factors of? Well, one of the easiest things to do is just to simply multiply the denominators together. 4 times 9 is going to be 36. So they both go into 36 evenly, so I know that 36 can be my common denominator. So I'm going to have that S equals 1/4 minus 1/9, but with that common denominator, what do I multiply 1/4 by? That's going to be 9 over 9, because I multiply my denominator by 9 to get to that 36. I need to multiply my numerator by 9, because what I'm multiplying by, 9 over 9, that's 1, and 1 doesn't change the value of 1/4. It just manipulates it a little bit. So same deal for the 9, except this time we're going to multiply by 4. So we're multiplying the denominator by 4 and the numerator by 4, because 4 over 4, when I multiply by that, 4 over 4 is just 1. And 1 times 1/9 is still just 1/9. So I'm not changing the values, I'm just manipulating this. So S is now going to equal 9/36 minus 4/36. 9 minus 4 is going to be 5. So that's a total of 5/36 more cups of sugar that Amy needs to add to this recipe. Let's move on to number 12. For number 12, it says your mother gave you $13.32 with which to buy a present. This covered 3/5 of the cost. How much did the present cost? So in this equation, we're actually going to have a mix of decimals and fractions. But that's okay because we know how to convert between decimals and fractions. Now, let's figure out what our equation is going to be. If we have $13.32, but it only covers 3/5 of the cost of the present, how much does that present cost? Well, we know that 3/5 of the present I'll call this present P. 3/5 times P was that amount of $13.32. Think about it. 3/5 of the present, 3/5 times P equals $13.32. The amount that covered 3/5 of that cost. So one-step equation, what do we have to do to get rid of the 3 and 5 that are with the P? We're going to multiply by that reciprocal, which is the same as dividing by 3 and multiplying by 5. So we're going to multiply this by 5/3 as well as our right-hand side. Look, 5 cancels out with 5, 3 cancels out with 3, and I have P on my left-hand side, and that's going to equal, we'll multiply $13.32 by 5 and then divide by 3. And I'm going to do this all longhand for some good practice. So if we have $13.32 and we multiply that by 5, 2 times 5 is 10, carry the 1, 3 times 5 is 15, plus 1 is 16, carry my 1, 3 times 5 is 15, plus 1, again that's 16, carry my 1, 1 times 5 is 5, plus 1 is 6. So we have, since there were 2 decimal places, I need to remember that for my solution. So we have $66.60, that was $13.32 times 5, but now we have to take that $66.60 and divide it by 3. And it works out nicely because 3 goes into 6 2 times with nothing remaining. So that would be 0, bring down my 6, 3 goes into 6 2 times, again with nothing remaining. And if I continued this on, 3 goes into 6, keeping my decimal lined up when I'm doing division. 3 goes into 6 again 2 times, and 3 goes into 0 0 times. So we get $22.20. That was the total cost of the present. That $13.32 covered 3/5 of that total cost. So think about it, $22.20, that P times 3/5 equals our original amount that our mother gave us. Let's move on to number 13. That's just a quick way to double check, and feel free to use a calculator for that. But let's continue on to number 13. So number 13 is our second to last problem on this worksheet. If you've stuck with me this far and have found this video helpful, go ahead and click that thumbs up button. Also, if you know of anybody else that would find this video helpful, feel free to share it with them. For now, let's go over 13. It says, if the weight of a package is multiplied by 5/7, the result is 40.5 pounds. Find the weight of the package. Well, this kind of sets our equation up for us. The weight of the package is multiplied by 5/7. So my weight W is multiplied by 5/7, and that result is 40.5 pounds. So finding the weight W, multiplied by that reciprocal of the fraction that's multiplied by W currently, that would be 7/5 that we're multiplying by. 7 divided by 7 is 1, 5 divided by 5 is 1, so W is isolated on my left-hand side, and that's equal to 40.5 times 7/5. Now before, when we dealt with decimals multiplied by a fraction, I multiplied first. But in this instance, I'm going to divide first because I know that 5 is going to go into 40.5, because think about it. 5 goes into 40 8 times, and 5 goes into 5 once. So 8.1 times 5 is going to equal 40.5. And again, how I did that in my head, I recognize that 5 goes into 40 8 times, and 5 goes into 5 once. So now I have 8.1, because I already did 40.5 divided by 5, I still need to multiply by my 7. So multiplying by 7, we're going to get that W equals, let's try this one in our head. 8 times 7 is 56, and 1 times 7 is 7. So 56.7 is the total weight of the package. And if you had any difficulty at all doing this in your head, feel free to do it out long ways. Double check with a calculator if you think you have the answer right. But I recommend not starting with a calculator. A calculator is a great double check, but don't become reliant on it. Let's move on to number 14, our last problem on this worksheet. Number 14 says that a stray dog ate 12 of your muffins. That was 3/10 of all of them. How many did you start with? So if 12 muffins was 3/10 of my total amount of muffins M, how many muffins M did I start with? Here we go, one-step equation. Multiply both sides by 10/3. In doing so, 3 divided by 3 is 1, 10 divided by 10 is 1. I isolate my M on my right-hand side, and here we go. Let's do this in our heads. 10, well, 3 doesn't go into 10 evenly, so it's kind of hard to do 10 divided by 3 first. But 12 divided by 3 right off the bat is going to be so much easier to do in our heads. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So we're going to have 10 times 4 equal to M. 10 times 4, that's going to be a total of 40 muffins that we started with. So we started with 40 muffins. A stray dog ate 3/10 of them. 40 times 3/10, that's going to be a total of 12. So the dog ate 12 of them. With that, we wrap up this one-step equation worksheet. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I or one of your peers will get back to you as soon as we can. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. All likes and subscriptions are greatly appreciated.